I started doubting the third day when I woke up, and that helicopter was close. I mean, I crawled myself to get through like a little opening. So, I mean, I could see it. It was right there. How come you can't see me? And I'm screaming and yelling, and I had waved my jacket, and the dogs were exhausted. So I started thinking, and then I was praying and praying, and I thought, please, I'm not ready to go.
Incredible words right there from Annette Poitras, rescued by many volunteers out there. Coquitlam Search and Rescue, a big part of this mission. Al Thomas, Steve Chapman joining us right now from the team. Congratulations on a terrific result. Everybody was hoping, everybody was praying, and thank you for your important work.
You're welcome. Thank you.
We wanted to bring you on today to get perspective of what goes in for all of these volunteers, and knowing volunteers risking their lives to save lives. But when you hear news like this, someone is declared missing, as in Annette's case. Al, we'll start with you. What is the first task of the team to assemble and go into search mode?
Well, the process is basically the managers get the call. I'm not a manager, but the managers who are involved that day, there's someone on call. They get the call from the police, 911, and then they gather the team, and they determine a spot where the command center will be set up for the search. And then we're all on pagers or cell phones, and they call us out, and those who are available to come out arrive on scene.
And you have to brave the elements. Steve, take us through this. I mean, we were dealing with the rainstorm last week. What are the true challenges and dangers for the frontline rescuers and responders trying to do good here?
I mean, we're always faced with obstacles in the backcountry, right? And when the weather is like it was, so it was heavy rain, poor visibility, fog the first night, cold temperatures. You're having to concentrate on staying on the trails yourself. You're looking around, searching, trying to communicate with whistle blasts into the forest, listening for things to come back, concentrating on radio communications. There's a lot going on in parallel. And, you know, at any point in time, you could slip yourself and sustain an injury, so you're having to be extra careful there.
If we put ourselves in the position of Annette, and you're just fighting to survive, from what you have seen, and there's a record, what, 50 rescues for Coquitlam Search and Rescue this year, how important is the mental game to this versus physically battling the elements?
I think it's very important. I think you have to have a positive attitude. Is very important in survival situations, and even if you don't have any survival equipment to help you, a positive attitude to survive is really, really important. But we always suggest that people going into the backcountry take the appropriate equipment. We call it the 10 essentials when they go in the backcountry, especially in weather like that we have now. The weather's not very good. Conditions are slippery and wet. And we hope that people go prepared for the conditions they're going into.
I know we've talked many a time on this show about essentials to take with you, and you've got a desk full, table full of items, but the top two things, if you're going outside, that's the beauty of living on the West Coast, to enjoy the outdoors, what are the two most important things to take with you?
Well, I would think that the most of our 10 essentials, the most important thing to take would be a flashlight. Either a headlamp or a flashlight, so that you have a light source if it does turn dark. We can almost guarantee a search when daylight saving turns to standard time, because people get caught out in the dark and they can't find the trail. So the flashlight here is probably one of the most important things that you would take. The next most important item is a signaling item, and we suggest a whistle, maybe to add to that to enhance the kit, a mirror or a GPS or a cell phone, but the whistle is very important, because the sound of a whistle in the wilderness travels about 10 times farther than your voice. So those would be the two most important things, I think.
These are some of the tools we have. So Steve, take us through this. The moment that Annette was discovered, what was the lead up? How was this such a good news story for us? How did it work?
I mean, from a personal perspective, we were out in the field doing a grid search. So that's when we're closely spaced, looking for clues, looking for Annette, doing whistle blasts and shouting out. And it was another team that found her. So we heard on the radio communications that the subject had been found, and then it was one of those, probably the most amazing moment in my short start a career where, you know, she's found, she's alive, right? A sense of elation, you know, everybody picked up, and then there's a waiting game because there's logistics that command has to sort out, and you know, actually recovering the subject, the dogs, the rest of the teams from the field as well. So when you find someone, that's not the end, it's sort of the beginning of the end phase of the operation.
Well, 19 teams, 89 volunteers. This was a group effort, and you had the chance to hear from Annette yesterday. What was the most rewarding thing that she shared with you and the team?
Well, we were very pleased to see that she was healthy and walking around, even though she was using a walker. And she was so grateful that for what we do, and they really made a point of not only did we go out and assist in finding her, but they really appreciated all the training that goes into it, because without the adequate training, we wouldn't have been as prepared for that type of thing. So she was very grateful, and it was just wonderful to see her.
Well, it was a wonderful effort by all of the volunteers, including you both. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thanks
for having us today.
Hope and a great news story, and many donations have flowed into the Coquitlam Search and Rescue and to other rescue teams. So kudos to all of those people doing the important work.